All right, welcome back to part 4 of my directory engine course, where I'm going step by step on how to create a directory within the Ligna platform. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. All these videos are coming out in order. So in this video, we're going to go through, we've already set up the entire site. We set up our directory, we got our links working. Everything's pretty much ready to go. Now we need to do the optimization. Super important. Obviously, you're going to want the best optimization out of the gate, because once we submit our directory sitemap, it's game time, right? So first thing you're going to want to optimize is the meta title and description of the main homepage. So to do that, come over here to your website. So you're going to go under, in this case, I built mine under templates, funnels. And you're going to go into the settings section. Click right there. And here, if you're using the tags within the system, I'm not using any of the global tags. You can put your company name in. Matter of fact, I think this template actually has some of these tags in here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in title just there. I believe there's somewhere in the footer that has it in there. But you can fill all this out if you're using these tags. These are great to leverage. And then in the branding section, this is where you're going to put in your icon for the site. I haven't set this up yet, but I could set up an OG image. Basically, when you share the link, it's going to actually use whatever banner image I want to use. Same thing with logo. I haven't put one in yet, but you obviously can do that. What I'm going to do in this video is just touch on all the SEO settings, or at least the optimization that I normally do for these directories, and kind of go from there. So the first section is the SEO tab. Now, obviously, you can use ChatGPT. There's all different types of ways on how you can optimize. In this particular example, this is not the dynamic optimization that you would do. This is just the title and description, the very first one that you see up here in the tab. Obviously, Google is going to use whatever they think they're going to use based on the search. But obviously, you're going to want to put in a good title that's about your directory. And then obviously a description that, it really just touches on the keywords that are related to what we're trying to do, right? My directory, I'm trying to drive traffic to the directory to ultimately have a free consultation. Now, of course, they can call any of the lawyers within the directories. I'm not locking it down with my phone number for all the listings. They can call any directory that comes through. But I do want a free consultation. I do want them to come to the CTA here and fill this out, because I'm going to leverage these leads to either provide to lawyers or whatever directory I have. So there's a whole strategy behind that. So I did my theme around optimization around free consultation. So you obviously can go into ChatGPT. By now, if you're using, you should be, at least from all the previous steps of producing the content, all the different icons. If you're still in that same chat session, it's been trained enough on what this directory is. So I would ask, write me the best meta title and description related to my directory. This is the overall concept of what I'm trying to do, blah, 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 right? So that works really, really well. Put those in, drop in your title and description. Next, I'm going to go page by page. Now, there's a couple things here that you need a reference. Inside the knowledge base section, search system variables to get all of our tags for all of the other sections. I'm going to update that with all the tags that are associated with the directory engine. But in this video, I'm going to show you which ones those are. So I'm going to go ahead and click on pages. And the first one that I did is going to be the profile, right? So again, if you use the default biz page, you can call this whatever you want, as long as you update all your links. I didn't. I'm using the same out of the default. This is where you're going to come over here and click on the SEO tab. So you do have unique settings for each page, such as your branding, your general settings, and then of course you can embed uniquely to each page. Here I'm clicking on the SEO tab. And so you'll see all these different tags here, right? So the format for all of our tags are curly bracket, the tag module, if you will, dot, and then the name of the field. This in this case, if it's spaces, whatever, it's there. I have, again, the legend here, but you can see the main category. This is going to be your top level category. If you're using your own custom categories, it's always going to be main category. If you're using our global categories, you may want to use subcategory. I don't use the subcategory when I'm optimizing the actual brand page or the profile page. So any tag that's on the profile page. So for example, if I go into the listing that I set up here, the tester in the previous video, all the tags that are associated with this particular profile start with DL, lowercase dl dot, right? So it's curly bracket, DL dot name, DL dot main category, DL dot city, DL dot state. That's going to pull from that listing. Now you can either use the legend of all the variables, or again, you can go into the actual page itself in the builder and all of the available tags are here. So you can use these tags however you like. You can put the address, you can put phone number in your description. Now we automatically create a schema markup that's fully optimized and set perfectly for a local business. And we leverage all those tags. So you don't necessarily have to do all that. What's cool about having the address as part of your optimization and your phone number is that if someone searches those, you have an opportunity of your brand being pulled up and obviously them finding that page. So what I've done is I just do the name of the listing. I do the category. I like pipes. You can, do commas, whatever you want to do. I just do pipes. I've always done that. It's worked out pretty good for me. I do main category. I do city and state. Now, I do it this way. You could have all different types of words and like connect with or whatever you want to do. So you can get super creative here using these tags. I do it super simple here just because we already have a lot of rich content about that profile in the page itself. I just want to call out the company name. I want to call out the category. I want to call out the city and state. Of course, if you're using this in another country, you can do country opposed to the state tag. Meta description, same scenario. So when we go and pull data, if you leverage the continuous worker technology or using workers, obviously there's a video to follow about how to do that. We pull a little description about that business if we can. And that description is a display snippet. So back in the previous video, when you go in and set your short description in the listing, that tag is called the display snippet. So here in the actual directory page or profile page, you'll see that tag there. You can also click view more and you see the overview tag. So it's just a dl.snippet and that's going to bring in that snippet. Now, actually, this is a different tag. So this is the display snippet that truncates it. So it's not the long, we may be pulling descriptions that have 4 or 5 paragraphs from that listing itself. Display snippet actually truncates that, so it's not a long meta description. It puts that in there. So in my description, instead of the title and putting in address and city and state, I actually list it all here. I separate it by commas. You don't have to do it this way. This is the way I do it. Completely up to you, but these are the tags. I'm using name, I'm using main category, I'm using address, I'm using city, state, phone, and the display snippet. Which again, there's a lot of benefits to that when people are searching addresses and cities and states related to those, types of businesses. You're bringing in traffic to your directory, which ultimately could drive to a free consultation, form fill. Obviously, it helps with deep indexing and your optimization strategy. So that's what I do on the listings pages. But like I said, you could just do display snippet. You could create a custom description that uses these tags, which I've done on the category pages. So it's completely up to you on how you want to do that. But anything that's related to the directory listing is DL, short for directory listing. That's going to pull in the individual tag for that profile. Now, moving to the next page, on my category page, remember, C is a category page. You can call it whatever you want. In this case, again, I'm using the default. When I come over to my SEO, I have some other tags. These tags that are related to the category or the home page it's not DL because it's looping through, right? So it's category based, it's just D for directory. So in this case, it's curly bracket, D dot category. That's going to bring in the category. And you can see it up here, like test lawyer, personal injury. If you did view source, you'd see the optimization. For example, if I did view source here on this, all those tags are coming in. Here's the markup schema that automatically is built for you. And it's pulling in, you know, the snippet and everything else within the description for the SEO. Same thing here on the categories. So I'm doing category, top category, city, state, connect with local category. You know, again, this is pulling in the category associated with that, you know, whatever, you know, category they click on, right? And that's obviously showing all the listings for that category. For example, if I click on personal injury, this is pulling in top personal injury attorney, Austin, Texas. So it's automatically doing that. And of course, on the categories that don't have Austin, Texas, it's not showing Austin, Texas in there. It's removing that because if it doesn't exist, it's removing that. So where it becomes interesting is when you start using these descriptions in a way to where your placement is dictated whether there's a city and state there. So for example, on the top level category, looking for experience, D dot category space D dot in city comma state end, that particular link that's associated with that, this is not going to show up with city and state, right? Because if you don't have city and state, and so doing city comma state on the end with the end tag, this is going to remove it and reformat it to where it looks good. It's going to say, looking for experienced personal injury lawyer with the question mark. So you have certain tags that you can use to make the sentence that you're putting in here, the description, make sense when you're on the top level category and not at a city level local version, right? I hope that makes sense. Like I said, I'll have documentation for you to really look at this. But if you take these tags and even this example and put that in ChatGPT and just say, write me a great description for a category page using these tags, it'll spit out something pretty cool, right? So the regular city comma states are going to have a space in it, so you wouldn't put a space. So near city comma state, that way it disappears. When it disappears, for instance, if you're not on a category page that's local, that space will show up naturally. It won't look like a double space or, you know, you have two spaces there. And then I'm driving them to a free consultation, right? So the category section here in city comma state end, we have an in city comma state start that you can leverage. So a lot of different combinations that you can use to do the optimization for that particular page on a category level. Now you could also do that with the listing itself and put in different words instead of doing what I did with just all tags, right? So this is an example of doing it that way. It's just a matter of how you set that. And, you know, again, there's so many different combinations of how you can do this and set and for the optimization. Again, my whole goal is to get a free consultation or at least optimize for my categories. So when you go out to your categories, it's optimizing based on that particular category. The next page I optimize is just a core category page. This has no tags in it. Again, it's just browse all legal categories, you know, optimization based on that. You know, again, just showing you all the legal categories. So I got all that set. The next one I set up is the results page. Don't really need to do this unless you plan on indexing your search. I just put this in here as an example so you could use it. This is our get variable system. So I don't know if you noticed in the previous videos, but if you go to the results page, there's a tag that's being used for the keyword. I guess I got to actually click on it. There's a tag that's actually being used, right? Get.k. That's the keyword. That's the tag for the keyword that they search. There's other tags such as the location and the state that you can use. So this is just city and state. And you could include that in custom sections within here if you wanted to. I don't do that. You know, if you plan on using a search URL to get indexed. It's not part of the sitemap. So you could skip the optimization here. I do put it up here just so it shows up in the browser at the top when you search, just so it's up there and it's not blank or saying R, because it will just say the title name up there. So I would just put at least get.k. So it's just curly bracket get.k for this template. And that's it. That's all the optimization I've done on the actual meta title and meta description. Now on the content side, what I've done, and I'm going to go into the biz profile. So everything, and I'm going to go into the builder. Everything on this page is already fully optimized, right? So everything that's set up within here already comes with the alt tags, the title tags, description tags. If you're building this into a custom theme, you're going to want to put all the title tags and the image tags with the business name and all that. These are all the tags that you can use. In addition to that, I have set up a call to action CTA that's different than what I have on all the other pages. So for example, when you go to the main page, where I'm at here, and you go out to the home page, this is the content I'm showing you, right? It's not related to the local area. It's not related to the specific business. It's just a generic need legal help CTA to schedule a free consultation. However, on the actual business page, I'm changing this just to add some more content to the to this business listing, even though, obviously there's dynamic content here and user generated content, and then we're adding additional listings that are related to that. So you're getting a really good optimized local listing that will get indexed by Google really well. But this gives you that extra benefit. Now you may have multiple content blocks. You may create just more and more stuff on here that you want to dynamically change for that particular listing. And these are the same tags, right? So the tags that you're using that are in here, by the way, this tag right here needs to be DL. I guess, by the way, that is lowercase. In here, this is capitalizing the first letter with CSS, but it is lowercase, by the way. So if your style is changing the case, doesn't matter. In the code level, it's actually lowercase DL. Kind of threw me off there for a second. But you got DL.main category, you got DL.city, DL.name, DL.main category. I have main category here. And so this reads differently than the other CTA that I have because it's unique to that actual listing. So when I go out to the listing itself and click on it and go down to that CTA, you're going to have Test Lawyer is obviously the name that I put in for this test listing. It's dynamically changing everything for that, right? So it's creating, just more of a personalized CTA specific to that city, specific to that attorney and their name, and doing that full-blown optimization. So a lot of cool stuff there to be able to do with the optimization. I mean, you can do so much more than what I've done here. This works really well for me, but like I said, the site itself comes pre-optimized with all the dynamic sections within here. It's just when you start adding your own sections in here, you can leverage these tags to, again, create just another layer for optimization. You can even do it here on the blog section and add in more tags in here, but I didn't do that. So that's it. I mean, after that, as far as the indexing and getting that set up, the next step that you're going to want to do is, well, you're not going to want to submit this to obviously Google Search Console just yet until you start getting data in there. But all of the directories come with a special sitemap URL. And all it is on your URL, just do /sitemap -dir. So it's the URL /dir, right? And so this is going to bring in your actual sitemap specifically to your directory. Now, this is the contractors.title.io sitemap, right? So this is breaking it up. You only have to submit this sitemap to Google Search Console. Once we start pumping data into this thing, my next videos, I'll show you exactly what that looks like inside of Search Console. But this is your sitemap directory. And the reason why it breaks it up into different offsets is because you can only submit 50,000 URLs per sitemap. So in this particular directory, I already have 170,000 plus directories, listings that are being pumped into this, daily. It grows daily. This automatically generates new ones for you, and each of the sitemaps generates up to 5 URLs for every listing. So there's a category URL, there's a subcategory URL, there's a city level category URL, there's the actual profile listing URL that you have, and then there's another category URL that's local, that's not the subcategory. So each listing potentially could have up to 5 URLs that bring in different elements to the directory, whether that be the specific category or the category they're in. And so we offset it so that you're never going to have more than 50,000 URLs on a single sitemap. So again, it's just sitemap -dir, and you put that after your actual domain. Like in this case, for my directory, for my lawyers, it's all offset there. Now, one thing you'll notice is I've already made a mistake. So you're seeing now I have www dot, right? So www dot, the reason why that's happening, glad I tested that out, is I need to come over here to settings, and then I need to set on my SEO to no www. And the reason behind that is I'm using subdomains. If you're not using subdomains, it's either or. You can have no www or www, whichever one you want. I would never use both just because you want to force into a single URL. Google treats each URL different, whether it's www or no www. In this case, I need to put no www because my directory itself is a subdomain. So if I'm on my subdomain and I put in www before my subdomain, that URL will not pull up. And so it will be a broken link because that's a whole nother domain. And based on the subdomains that you have set up, now I forced it in there, but it's still, you just won't have a secure link, and directing it based on www won't work. So that's one thing that I made a mistake there, and make sure that you have that set because that's the format that's going to show up on your sitemaps. That's it. Again, you could do a whole lot more, more optimization throughout, but that's enough for me on my optimization strategy. Of course, there's outside SEO strategy you need to do. And again, the template comes with all the optimization pre-built on all the dynamic sections. So next video, we're going to go through actually setting up a cadence. This is going to be the claim listing email that goes out, the tags on that. I'm going to have a couple other emails that go behind it with title, talking about the different services that we offer. And then the next video after that is going to be talking about setting up the worker technology that's actually going to pull in these listings and start firing off those actual cadences. So make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate you very much and look forward to seeing you on the next one.